What's up, family? We're not going to do our usual song and dance. We're going to give some people time to come into the room while we get everything together. Didn't want to keep y'all waiting. For those of you who don't know, tonight this is pretty much, I would say, the Garden of Noon Science Explained 2.2.5. Um, so today we're just going to answer a few questions that was asked. Before we get into that, we're just gonna give some people some time to get into the room. Make sure y'all hit that like button as you come in. So whenever you're ready, just let me know.
All right, I'm almost there. Who you got in there so far? Who done came in?
I don't see no one person right now. Got one person right now.
She,
The treehouse is live right now, so pretty sure a lot of people are over
yeah, she go live like it ain't nobody's business.
there. Yeah.
I'm trying to get to the YouTube. All right. Yeah, usually people come in as it as it flows. Let me see. All right, let's see. I see that Abby sure got some views.
Yeah, a couple comments too. I did see one negative comment on there. Um, I don't know if you saw it.
No, I
Forgot the
didn't.
guy's name. It was directed at you. I removed it.
No, no, no.
I
I
figured this
maybe.
guy. He had a weird like. He had a weird name on YouTube, so I figured he was a ex Nuwapian. Trip C's in the building. What's up, sis? Even though I'm pretty sure she won't tell people to jump over here and
Okay,
at
that
least hit
sound
the
coming
like
from
button.
your background.
What's that?
I don't know. Sound like some air, Russian air.
Oh, it's the fan.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It ain't nothing crazy.
Hold
I
on, I
can
just
hear it a
turned
little
my
bit.
my thing towards me.
Yeah, I know you be in that room. I wouldn't burn up in there either.
Yeah, my night shows. I don't be down in that little studio room. Actually, right now it's freezing cold down there because it's like one of those like type of decks. It's like an indoor deck connected to the backyard.
Hmm.
It's like one of those that I just turned into a little computer room.
Let me see there. But I didn't go back over. I didn't get a chance to go back over that moon thing, but I know it was a lot of information on the origin of the moon. It was a lot of stuff that was said about it. Stuff that, cause I think I was being questioned about that on Trip C's page. I think Saida was asking me something about she was trying to understand the rocks and stuff at the bottom of the ocean and stuff like that, and how that, with the moon, and how did the moon, look so hard, and the shape that it has, and I was like, the moon, it didn't come out hard, and like you see it now, it came out and it had a clay surrounding,
Mm-hmm.
and as it left, of course, if it's coming from down in the clay where it's heat, of course it's gonna be, a little soft or whatnot, and then it had to come up through the water and out from the ring of fire, and then it had water on it, and so and during that time where the heat was so hot, the moon couldn't become hard, and where it could, if you look at maybe like a hard boiled egg to an extent, but it became more and more what we see now as the heat cooled down, and then the cold set in because space at a lost its temperature because of the 9 ether heat turned into 6 ether. Even though the sun is still hot, even at where it's at now, most of the sun heat is being kept suppressed. I told you that those gamma rays is what those sunspots are,
Uh-huh.
and those gamma bursts, and they saying just a little bit of flare from that can destroy um everything in the solar system. So it's still gamma ray waves is the most powerful um bottom half force, and the infrared when it's in when it's in power is the most powerful force when it's in. So as far as we was talking before, I told you before, that's why they got to go back and watch those videos that Noah was not a person. Noah was an event. And
Uh-huh.
when you read the books, is the way it's written. It brings down. It breaks everything up. Let me see if I can. Let's go into that a little bit. I'm gonna share my screen if it'll pop up.
I'll put it up when I see it.
All right. Okay, this is it. All right.
Hold up. Let me do something real quick. Let me take this banner down.
Mm-hmm.
See the whole thing. There we go.
All right. You can see it.
Bam. Yep.
All right. So this is coming out of Bob Interpretations explanation booklet 1, which you can find this on the Fine9News.com website. As you can see, it was written by Amanuba Rakapata, which is Afro Unu's name before he changed it to Afro Unu. So 67. And it goes into it, as you can see, it talks about the flood of Noah. So we got the flood of Noah mentioned a few times. So what we'll do is we'll just read on what they say about it, and then we'll jump into um the three sons and all that good stuff. So we'll go to letter G first. So I don't know if you got around how far you got in the booklet 1 yet.
I didn't get too far into it yet. Then
All right, so
I'm
say
on the
again.
phone. I said I didn't get too far into it. I started it, but I didn't get too far into it yet. I've been on the phone with different things, handling these kids. Been on the phone handling certain businesses.
All right, so it says, when did the great flood of Noah occur and what caused it? He said the great flood of Noah occurred approximately 17 million 250,000 years ago, and this means that Noah existed long before Adam in the sense of time. In fact, Adam was descendants of Noah. The history of the ancient shows that a subcontinent called Atlantis existed at the time of the Great Flood, and it was submerged by the water by Lucifer's fall to earth after being cast from the sun. As it came to earth, the great serpent's power caused interference with the magnetism that controls the earth and moon in their courses, and this interference brought on the great deluge, both from the sky and waters of earth, which rolled over parts of the planet like tidal waves, Lucifer's Leviathan. So here it's speaking about that event that I told you
Uh-huh.
and how it splits the time frame of what they saying Noah is to Adam, which I told you they've the Caucasian wrote Adam before Noah, which was an event. And so in order to place themselves in history, that's what I was telling you. This is what the word I picked the word interpolation up from the Bible interpretation. So that just means they was inserting um themselves in a certain part or taking one timeline of events and switching things around in order to put themselves in position.
Mm-hmm.
And then I told you we had a conversation on the Garden of Eden where we went into the origin birthplace of the moon and how when the moon came up out of the waters that what they call in the lost city it's not I don't know I just so programmed to say that the continent of Atlantis or Lemuria or Mu ended up coming up from that part where the
Wait,
moon
so
came out of.
so you saying that Lemuria and Atlantis were the same? I thought
Yeah,
Atlantis came from Lemuria.
no, it was all the same. They just got different names for the same thing. Mu, Atlantis, Atlan, Utland. It's the same stuff.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me just bring the picture up. Because remember we went over that when they had when the females was on there asking all the good questions on
Uh-huh.
that bill. And they said Atlantis was between it was between the west coast, well it was mostly down there by in between I think Australia. No, yeah, like Australia and like Mexico, like further down. I was trying to find the map, but it was over there where it was basically the same place where the Ring of Fire was at in the Pacific Ocean, and that's where it was. And once the moon, we talking about after 36 million years, that continent
So
existed there.
this Ring of Fire that I've heard you guys speak of, that's like where the moon lifted up out of the earth.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm finna pull it up.
I was gonna say, can we see that? Because actually, according to like mainstream science, they said that the moon came from the earth, but they said it was like some sort of collision.
Yeah, they tried to say um, a rogue asteroid or whatever
Yeah,
that
knocked the
hit the
chunk
Earth.
off.
Yeah, then came back and hit again. They said Mars had something come from it, and they anything to make up misinformation
Mm-hmm.
because that's just what they do.
Got to keep you running in circles.
Hmm.
I noticed that a lot of this information is, and that's why. I kept wondering, like, if they trying to, if they, they've been wanting to keep this information from us, why would they even allow a highway of information like the internet and Google even exist?
The-
Because it's so much information that keeps you running in circles if you don't know where to look.
Let me know if you can see that.
We can see it.
Hold on, I gotta go back. Hold on.
We can see the Ring of Fire. There's the picture, right? Picture of the Ring of Fire.
Yeah. So right in this area right here, because you can see Australia on the outside of the Ring of Fire, but
Uh huh.
right within that is where Atlantis was. And he
So,
said it was a subcontinent because it's below these other two continents over here, which you can see is America on this side. I think that's China and all that on this side. Got the equator, Brazil at the bottom. So it would have been like a subcontinent if you look at it from that standpoint. And when the moon came out, then that continent came up behind it to fill up the hole. So all that ocean water wouldn't travel back down to
in,
the
into
way
the
that the moon came up.
okay.
So that's all that was as far as that's concerned. They just have to go back on the video in the Garden of Eden video we did and the Origin of the Moon where Nuke was going in a whole lot more intricate as far as the minerals and all this extra stuff that go with that. And if people study oceanography, which Saida was confirming that the scientists did, by studying, the surface of the moon and looking at the ocean floor and underneath it, the scientists was able to determine that the moon had came from the earth. So that's in geology though. You have to study geology in order to understand what that is because a lot of the way our information was brought so long ago, it's like it's told in a myth form, and so
Facts.
we don't never get it, in that the way they present it, or they'll just tell you off facts off top. Yeah, this is the African myth of creation or Egyptian myth like that, and they'll dress it up
In a
along with
myth
their
form.
stuff. They'll be like, oh yeah, the Romans, they had mythological gods, and a myth is not true, but then all of the names of the days of the week is after their gods and stuff like that. So it's like if it was false, then why do y'all have names in modern day times after these gods, whether it's the days of the week or the months of the year?
That's what I never understood about America. We have all this religious stuff in our, like, all these religious sayings in our government, on our money, but none of these religious like laws apply in real life. Like, you know what I mean?
Because it's part of their culture. It's part of, even like we were saying before, you talk about spells and the
Uh
fact
huh.
that spells control large groups of people to do a bunch of stuff. Just like you got a bunch of so-called woke people is still doing things that has nothing to do with what they know. That's a spell, regardless, no matter how we look at it, or, try to justify it or, rationalize it rather, people are still doing certain things that ain't got nothing to do with what they culture's about. So again, laws or spells, songs, they cause people to do a bunch of stuff. So
Yep.
that's just really what it is. And if you understand that, like we broke down voting and who you voting for, and That's you vote for a God. I don't think I said anything in that particular video, but I did on one of these other videos I did, religious videos, that was explaining more so the spiritual aspect and how the political system is a different face of religion. So you got some people who believe, or our God can fix it, or God can fix it. And then you have another group of people in politics who believe that their president or their government can fix it. And
Mm-hmm.
they're both united by the Bible or the Bible, but then they have what's called separation of church and state. And Afro said that's because they wanted to confuse the masses to make them believe that the church and the state or the government was separate. So when the government did something dirty, they can blame it on something else. Or but if people knew, which they tell you off the top, even if they part of an occult, they'll tell you that they in some form of religion. But I don't remember ever hearing of an atheist president. So
Mm-hmm.
um
Trump is an atheist.
no, Trump is a Protestant, which
Oh,
is just
okay.
another form of Catholicism. And Biden claimed to be a Catholic, but they kind of like turned against him on that. The Catholic Church really didn't claim him. So we
Yeah,
just had different versions, but
I
you know,
wouldn't claim his ass either.
I mean, the Catholic Church, they ain't got, they got
They
nerve.
already got enough perverts over there. That's why I'm saying it. They already got enough perverts over there. I wouldn't claim his ass either.
It just tell you what they're about, regardless. That's just to make themselves look good. And so again, now it talks about, then it talk about because here when Alfred Uno was writing this, he kept a little religious twist to it. When you get further into the nature books, it explains a little bit more about what um he changes it. He doesn't use the word Lucifer in the nature books. He uses the word Leviathan though, and then he explains what Leviathan is. Oh, let me see.
You know what I wanted you to go into detail more about because that didn't get a lot of I wanted to do a live on it, but while you're here I wanted to ask you about the hair on the sun.
Hmm?
The hair on the sun. You spoke of the sun having long kinky hair like us.
Yeah, I think we dealt with that on
We did?
on our earlier joints when I went in and I showed you the books.
Yeah.
Remember that we wrote, and then I sent you a couple of videos we did on the hair too.
I wasn't
About the
sure.
Yeah,
I wasn't
remember I
sure.
sent you like a video commercial about our hair,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
That's why I'm saying that because they didn't get a lot of, you know, views and traction. So
even before that,
because they were it wasn't because they weren't good videos because I noticed that a lot of our subs they watch the longer videos. They like watching longer videos, something that keep their attention for a long time. And
yeah,
that's why I said I wanted to
you
go back
you
and do a
probably need
live
to
on
put
it.
that in the description there, or put those two videos in the link, or and pin it, and just tell them if they want to know more about that they can just go get the books because that whole thing was like I told you about the flocculi. That's what the scientists call it, and they found
Uh-huh.
the sun.
Oh,
Go
just
ahead.
jog my memory. The speeches that you spoke of in that video in Noon Science explained the Dr. York speeches that he was given about the gay aliens and hermaphrodite aliens and
Hmm.
stuff like that, and they were jealous of somebody's phallus, and the priest had to walk backwards or something like that. Can you elaborate that? Elaborate on that for me because I wanted to hear more about that because that was crazy.
What you mean the priest had to walk back? Oh, you talking about that?
You talking about the stuff, the rhetoric that York was telling you guys. I
Yeah,
remember.
that we remember. I sent you 2 videos called the gay teachings of Dr. York and what what were the rituals. It's 2 different ones where he
So
was.
many videos.
Yeah, they in there. Them the ones you just loaded up and we didn't talk on them. They was just they have to go back and listen to those because that's going into something that York was making up, and he used that to make people
Yeah, because
think that
that was wild.
that was going on. Like he taught on it on that
They said the priest.
that tape called what was it called? Lies. I think he said lies, sex, and death, or money, sex, and death. I think that was the audio.
Did you say the video was called again? I want to make
I think it
sure
was
I got
called
it.
Money, Sex, and Death.
Money, sex, and death.
Yeah, let me see if I can find that. I think it's called Money.
I gotta give me a memory card so I can back all these videos up. You gotta keep that out. The one thing I learned about being on YouTube, gotta keep some insurance. You never know when you need to load a whole nother channel up. Yeah, I don't think I got it. Right now, I download it. I see a couple videos that I haven't noticed that been fully downloaded.
Because I know I had hooked up Triple C. She got them too.
I'm pretty sure she done already played them. Uh, but it's hard to find anything on her videos because she doesn't title it in a specific way.
I know they
So you
on it,
never
but
know.
hold on. But yeah, I got like I know she got them. Hold on.
And if anybody watching got any questions, feel free to ask.
Let me see. It was something like that. But I put it on her. Yeah, it's called now it's called Dr. Malachi Z. York, Wealth, Sex, Death, and it's like 3 parts to it.
No sense. Yeah, you gonna have to resend them. I don't think I got them.
I just looked on the as far as just the regular ones without me adding extra information to it.
I'll go on your page and find it if you.
It's just the regular videos on YouTube. I don't know. Yeah, it's on my joint. I have to just resend it to you.
Yeah, but that's crazy. And for people to actually still to this very day believe that is even more outrageous. Is even more outrageous.
All right, hold on. All right, so I sent that in the back. I just have to pull it up from.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, that's just the raw video. So here in book 2, it says, "Tell me if you can see it." It should show page 19. Oh no, I gotta.
We in
No,
booklet 1 still. You gotta
okay,
switch
I
it.
got.
Oh, it's only 40 minutes. We might be able to throw this on. It's only 40 minutes.
So I don't know if that's part one or whatever, but that's just showing you where it was at. All right. And this and just speaking of Noah again, as I stated in booklet one, the name of the man called Jesus was Esau Panthera.
Well, let
Panthera
me
is a
put it
word.
up there.
Oh, okay, my bad.
No, it's up there. Go ahead.
All right. It says,
You can go
as
ahead.
stated
It's
in
up there.
booklet one, the name of the man called Jesus was Esau Panthera, and Panthera is a word from which refers to the great Sphinx. At Giza, Egypt also refers to the religion of Noah, which is pantheism. Hence, Jesus was the last incarnation of Noah. The evolutionary forces, Noah 17,250,000 years ago, in the person of Ham, Shem, and Japheth, was the beginning of Jesus, sixth ether on planet Earth, and Cain, firstborn children of Adam and Eve, was the beginning of Christ's ghost in the person on orb Earth 6,000 years ago. Everything that is visible on the planet Earth has a visible counterpart somewhere on this planet. The name Noel is in the Christmas carol, means Noah is Elyon, Elo, or Elohim. Elyon, Elo, or Elohim is Jesus, and Jesus is sixth ether. The forces of evolution, Jesus, who has many names such as Elyon, Marduk, Molech, Zeus, Jupiter, Ra, Hermachus, etc., was the god of the Phoenicians. Noah is the zodiac, and the zodiac is Leviathan. The zodiac has many forms, such as the dog, monkey, eagle, serpent, crocodile, etc., that are not shown in almanacs, dictionaries, and encyclopedias. All right. So the reason why, because in the nature books, he says the cataclysm for 6 West happened 18 million years ago. But in here, he says 17,250,000 years ago. But what he's saying here, in the person of Ham, Shem, and Japheth. So what's going on is there's a table of races and pygmy gods in the nature books. And so in there, it shows that we was on the planet first, and then other races started popping up little time later. So once those three races start popping up, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, then it's basically saying that six ether, which is gamma radiation, started manifesting themselves in these races that sprung up out of egg formulas from the second womb of planet Earth, the same way, but in a different location and different composition, like our ancestors came up from the womb that connected to the Lake Victoria.
That's another question that was asked. I think by Angelica. I know she's over on the Trip C's panel, but she said she was going to rewatch it. Uh, the wombs, the two different wombs on the earth. She had asked about that as well. I told her that I wasn't sure what the second one was. I said the first one was
Yeah,
up by Lake Victoria.
it's on the
Second one's
equator.
by the equator, right?
Yeah, the second one. Do you remember that island it's an island down there by Indonesia. It's down there by Indonesia. Let me see. Hold on. I could tell you if I see it. Just give me a second. But they gotta read it because a lot of this stuff is because there's 17,500 islands. But I'm trying to remember the islands by the equator. Okay, so you got the Java Islands. That's where one of the sons, I think, of Canaan come from when they say the Java man. But all of this stuff is them switching things out and putting it in there. But it's one particular one that they came up from because I remember Anu had located it, but I can't remember which one it was. I'll have to I gotta look at a map because they got all of their languages and they name of their gods and stuff came from them. It came from the Hindus and the Phoenicians. But you have
So Osiris came from the Hindu and the Phoenician.
no.
Because you
Osiris
said,
is an
then you said,
underworld god, but he have a name, a couple of names in the Hindu pantheon. You just have to look it up, and then that
can
actually.
you name a couple of them?
Let me see Osiris and Hinduism. Hold on,
And I'm kind of heartbroken about this whole Osiris thing
you shouldn't be.
and these Egyptian gods. I just found out that Thoth was Hermes. Well, I knew Hermes. I didn't know Thoth was Hermes, but I
Hmm.
knew Hermes was a homosexual. So now Thoth is
Yeah,
homosexual.
that's why he used the baboon as his animal because certain species of monkeys and stuff do have homosexual
Maybe that's why young Pharaoh's so zesty.
but
He
the
said he channeling Thoth.
and not just that, and the ibis bird is one of Tahuti's animals because he clean his beak. He take his beak and clean his butt with it.
Oh my God.
And so this is how you can tell the nature of these particular deities
Yep.
by studying
And
the animals.
you said um York said he was channeling Thoth too, right?
Yep.
That explains a lot.
So was Aleister Crowley.
I thought he was channeling AWAS. Oh, they're one and the same.
I don't know if they wanted the same, but he
That's what he
did
claimed.
mention
He said
Tahuti.
AWAS is Thoth, Heru, and Amun Ra.
Yeah, some of them will tell lies to the human. The human don't know. But I know he mentioned Tahuti though.
But they said they start shunning Aleister Crawley because he said AWAS and his mother was black.
When he said who?
Aleister Crawley, according to Bobby Hemmett, the reason why the white folks like made him look like one of those psycho Freemasons is because he referred to AWAS and AWAS's mother as being black.
No, they distanced themselves from him because he became a drug addict freak, having sex with women and animals and stuff. And he died of heroin. He was a heroin addict.
Mm,
Yeah, he was rich and he went out. He went out like a drug addict, strung out.
mm.
Let me see.
One thing I seen in Hollywood, no matter how rich you are, you can't keep up with that cocaine and heroin habit.
And a whole bunch of other stuff.
It just gets bigger and bigger as you go.
Let me see. Because I did it's different names.
Shout out to Truth Hurts for the donation. Every little bit counts and goes back into the channel. I need to change that. I need to reopen my Canvia account too as well because that's why you notice I haven't been making any more flyers. because my Canva account, it still allows me to make the flyers, but in order to download the flyer
Mm-hmm.
or share it, I gotta pay for the account.
You can't make it, then screenshot it.
Ooh, yeah, but then I have to do all this extra stuff to adjust it to be the size of the thumbnail. But that is a good idea. I'm gonna try that.
See how it come out.
I'm gonna try that.
I'm gonna pull up some names out the nature books real quick.
Yeah, I definitely want to know more about these Egyptian gods. And the reason why I say I haven't gotten too far into the books is because, like I said before, I like to read something twice, to make sure I comprehended it. That's why I say I haven't gotten too far. I don't believe I fully understand something unless I, read it more than once.
Yeah, Yama. That's who Osiris is in Hinduism. Yama.
Yama,
Yeah, and that's the one that when he ride a bull
I think you gotta
and
reshare your screen if you got it up.
uh, he rides a bull and snatch your soul.
Yama,
Yeah.
I'm about to Google it right now. Like
I'm sure.
Yomma.
YAMA. I'm finna share my screen now. Um,
That's Osiris. Ooh, he is blue. They could have mistaken that color, blue for green,
you got a
or they
green
could
one
have
right
just
there.
changed it.
You can see it. See right there, God of the invisible world.
And you said Brahma and Ra. No, Brahma and
Brahma is Amun Ra.
yeah. So it's just Amun Ra like mixed up. The words mixed up. Oh,
No, that's just the language, and their language is Brahma.
okay. I've heard Bobby Hemmett say Ra and Amun Ra are two different people.
They think that one. Sometimes you're talking about the sun, and then sometimes you're talking about the sun god, meaning the spirit.
Well, he said one was an oppressive deity and the other.
Yeah, see, that's their problem. They keep thinking that it's these titles is specific. Like you got Ra is also a sun god of the Phoenicians. They got their own sun god that, and we got our own for the Ethiopian race. But because the title is used from other invaders that came into Kemet, these gods just took other, assumed their names and stuff. Even though they come from the same celestial orb, the sun god for the Phoenician race and the sun god of the Ethiopian race come from the same sun, but the chemicals is different
Mhm.
because our race got more sun heat genes than they do.
See, I thought that the Hindus just copied Egyptian gods,
Yeah, but then
but it
people
was the
can't.
Egyptian gods posing as different gods.
And see, the thing is, you can't. It doesn't explain how they got power. That's just like me and you. Me and you can copy uh the McDonald's sign, but you ain't gonna get no wealth. You ain't gonna get what McDonald's got over the years. Is and see, people don't account for that. They just
Okay.
like, oh yeah, they know those gods moved on to the next race, and gave them the powers to converse with them to do the things that they've done on the planet. Those gods abandoned us because the cycle and the season made them do that. So we don't mess with them because they left us for dead thousands of years ago, 6,000 years ago, in favor of the white race and other races in general. But they only following, the way of the smack circle. But that's just one of his names is Yama. You can see him right here. But that's the one that rides the bull. And the reason why he ride a bull, because the bull is telling you that he was known as Moloch in the Bible, who the children of Israel, according to the writings, were committing in infantile, which is the word infant suicide put together. They would take their children, and I'm gonna show you. Did the screen change?
Yeah, it's the cow god, right? No, wait, let me see. It's real small.
Hold on, I'm not waiting for you to share the screen.
Yeah, it's sharing
What you see?
that Moloch.
I don't see it on the. I didn't see the screen change on mine. Hold
I
on.
did. It's changed.
All right, hold on. Let me refresh. Yeah, so that's the bull. See right here, Moloch is the bull. And you can see the people the depiction of them giving their children over to the bull god.
Uh-huh. And that's
So and
Osiris.
that's
I
one of
meant Ra.
Osiris's animals, yeah. And the same thing now, people get their children to the Osiris through abortion.
Oh, okay.
There's some lady getting an award at some TV show, and you can see the Moloch in the back.
Damn.
She holding something in her hand.
Looks like an award. Some type of award.
Okay, they ain't showing the picture now. So yeah, this is Moloch. He's just old tip, but it's all Osiris. Osiris worship, Planned Parenthood, all that stuff. It just looked nice on the surface until you do research and you realize that these gods, like the nature books say, are still here. They just call something different. Just like the big um owl over there in California over there. What is that? This big bird over there, that big owl. They call it Moloch over there in Bohemian Grove. This owl is called Moloch. And that right there with the fire is supposed to be a mock sacrifice. But according to Alex Jones and other people, they really was killing babies over there.
Yeah, that's what I was just talking about earlier in my live. Um,
They
with young
got two
Pharaoh.
so far that we know of, one in
Uh huh.
Cali and one in North Carolina.
Yeah, with young Pharaoh, he talking about he self-made elite. I said, if you even elite, try to go to this meeting right here and try to get into it and see how far you get.
So yeah, that's what we got going on with that.
Yeah, man, that's crazy.
All right, hold on. All right, so let's go a little bit more. What is this, book one? Let me see.
So you saying that? all the gods abandoned us
Yeah,
because
all the gods. Yeah, all of them gods that we be talking about. Hold on.
and they did it because they were supposed to
Yeah,
change with the
yeah, they
seasons.
following the cycle and season of nature. They doing what they were supposed to do. Let me know you can see that.
Yeah, we can say,
All right, it said, listen to reason. In the Caucasian Bible, Genesis, the Old Testament portion, these are the three branches of original man, are called Ham, the Phoenician race, Shem, the Indian race, and Japheth, the Mongolian race, as interpreted by Nupu in the form of Novenary science known by Afro because the flood of Noah, who was Zoar, monkey, Zupu happened approximately 18 million years ago at point 6 west on the smack circular order for point 6 west, point 5 west, point 4 southwest. See figure 6 and 8 in part 2 of these writings. These are the points of origin indicated in the preceding paragraph. The word monkey is pronounced monkey and is the root word of the word mankind. Let it be remembered, always let it be known. Hold on. Let me open up book 2.
so I noticed that he keeps saying those races. So we're not a part of any of that.
No.
So what are we considered? Just the Ethiopian?
Yeah, Ethiopian African race.
Okay, I get it now.
All right. So, and he breaks it down again. He says Ham is the Phoenician race, Shem is the East Indian race, and Japheth is the Mongolian race. So when you see this right here, when they talk about when the J people talk about anti-Semitic, I told you that word Sem or Semitic, they take it back to Shem. But like I said to you before, I said show where there's a body of Shem in the Bible because Shem is not one person. Shem is a branch of the Phoenician race, the
Okay,
Hindu
I
race.
get it. I get why you said that now because I remember I asked that question like, why did you say show me a body of Shem? Then later on say Shem is a race. I didn't
Right,
catch it
because
at the time.
right, and their code wording. They're not gonna tell you. That's why when people read these books, they don't know what when it's talking about one group or vice versa, or is it symbolic or something else? So when you talking about them, they say you're anti-Semite. But if you don't know that Shem is talking about the East Indian, then it makes no sense because if I'm talking about the J people, that ain't got nothing to do with the East Indian race. If I say I don't like you or certain people in your racial group, that would be me disliking you. When you say anti, that means you're against, and then you have to then break that up. I can be against what they're doing and don't make no moves against them. I'm just verbally speaking. But then you have anti, what means to be opposite or against. So if I'm not doing something specific to that person or somebody in their race, they can't truly call you anti in the form of you're trying to actually move to do something physical. The same way they make up lies when people say if you crack jokes or say something against the LGBT, they immediately say you're a homophobe or you have homophobia. It makes no sense
Uh huh.
because phobia means to be afraid.
Yeah, I never got that. I was gonna say if you have a phobia of something, doesn't that mean that you're afraid of it?
Yeah, they're using the wrong term. Now you can, again, if that's the case, that's they don't say that on, when all the stuff they done did to black people. So they never say, oh, you got a phobia against black people. It's called what? Hate. It's a hate
Facts.
crime. Racism is a form of hate. But they
Facts.
design certain words because that's what they do.
But according to new science, it's a form of hate or a form of nature, right?
I know it's natural, but it's one-sided racism is what it is. It's
Oh, okay.
one-sided. It's not equal. And the
So
only
it's
way
equal.
equal racism is positive for both parties when they when both parties are practicing equal racism in the form of not doing anything that the other race don't want done to them.
Oh, well, I see. I was going to say equal racism. What do you mean by that? So when they're both just leaving each other alone
Yeah, in their own
or
land,
disrespecting each other.
right. But if you that's practicing equal racism. It don't can be equal when you're alone with your own race. Because then it ain't nobody else for you to practice your natural one-sidedness against somebody else.
Hmm.
Simple. Then you can have equality amongst your own because all y'all are from the same racial ancestor. So
I don't think
me,
we'll ever. I think it'll be a long time before we'll be able to, even if we do get by ourselves. I think it'll be a long time before we, you know, practice equality in our own race because you can see it now. Like, what do the average like person want to do? They want to shine on the other person, flash on the other person.
because
But it's
that's
ranks.
the negative force of evolution keeping us separated and going against self and kind. That's all that is. That's when you acting out against your own race, you're acting out against your own self. So that's just what that is. That means the person is not understanding that they're working against self and kind by doing that. Especially if they take pleasure in getting paid or even doing it for free because they have a spirit in them that makes them anti their self and kind, but they don't even know that. They may know that they're committing some form of deception. They may know that yeah, I'm taking money to do something against this organization, but they don't know higher level that spiritually been possessed to commit these acts. You
I
see.
understand. I see.
So now we talking about, like I said, let's see if we can go back. So we got Shem, and so these are the races right here. Let me go to the. You can see that.
Yeah, we can see it.
All right, so you see us here at this point. This is us. We descended from these nine pygmy gods at the top. All right, so we came from all of them once they got over here and
So
had
these pygmy gods are the ones that you said that came in the beginning. That was when the earth was all lava and stuff.
when the earth cooled off and all of that, and they got these spirit beings and stuff like that. Then they start popping up a pair at a time from the Lake Victoria on the banks of the Nine or the Nile River.
Okay.
and then they went from all the way to the right over here. That's a span of 36
So
million years.
where did the gods of Egypt come from then?
These are the gods of Egypt. The planets, these races just
Wait,
became
so we
myth.
came from these pygmy gods, but they
Right.
abandoned us. These are the same gods that
No,
abandoned
no,
us and
no.
changed with the season.
These are ones that died and came back as all these other races down here, and animals and birds and stuff like
Oh,
that.
they came back as other races.
Right. So that's why they say Ta was the creator of gods and men. Ta in this
Yeah,
case would be Nupu, but
this
Nupu
one is
not only grew the universes and created and grew all the gods, meaning the suns, the moons, and the planets, but also created the planet's original super natural beings on it that were not immortal, that eventually produced their ancestors and then died off and came back as other things on the same planet.
okay. So yeah, so they of course, so they
Those
sunk
the
that
spirit
back down
gods are
into
the
the
ones
earth.
that left us.
Okay,
And
so they sunk back down into the earth.
right, they went down there where the slave graveyard was and got grinded all the way back and metamorphosized chemically, and then six ether energies from the sun mutated them, and then they started popping back on the planet as sharks and alligators and monkeys and birds and
So
all of
these
that.
pygmy gods, like they broke themselves up and grinded themselves up,
Yeah, the
so
pygmy,
they
the
can be
planet
split
did
into
that.
different.
The planet
Oh, the
did that.
planet did
Once
that,
once
so
they
they can be
died,
split into different elements in different
yeah, they
species.
was changed. Yeah, the planet and the sun now changed them, but it took time to break them up into doing that.
So in order for these guys to come back, all of these things that were created will have to be taken back, right?
Right, they will have to die, and then they will chemically be changed again, and then they'll be pushed back into the nine ether clay eggs, and then they eventually pop back up. Cause you talking about like from the Ethiopian race to the Phoenician race is 2 million years. Between the Phoenician and Mingalese is 2 million years. Indian race 2 million years. Mingalese race 2 million years. Mingalese race 2 million years. Mongolian race 2 million years. I think Mingalese race 2 million years. Then the Caucasian comes in this last piece from the Caucasian race to perfection and negativity. That's a 6 million year span right here. Even
Mhm.
though for the Mingalese, I think to here would be like a 2 million year mark. The Caucasian comes in the last 6,000 years of that 2 million year mark, making the Caucasian race the youngest race on the planet.
So when these guys come back, so everything that happened is going to happen in reverse.
Right. This is what we in revolution. So what happens is us coming down in winter section is
That
the
explains
worst
a
part
whole
of
lot.
is the worst part of the smack circle. So as Nupu reverses things for the better, and we help Nupu and them do that mentally and doing what we got to do to make things right. Those
So
energies.
could that explain
What
the
happens is the
Caucasian?
Caucasian race, right? You see where the
Yeah.
Caucasian race is.
Uh huh.
From here to here, 6,000 years. From here to here is six more thousand years. The Caucasian race only exists for 12,000 years. Once the Caucasian race gets to its 6,000 year from now, the heat will be so hot that the Caucasian going to mix back in through the way he came, which is the Hindu. He's
Mm.
going to blend back in and disappear.
Seemed like they trying to mix back in with us though.
It's not going to help, but they not going to. I mean,
But the
because
only
nature.
thing that's going to work is for them to
No, it's
mix
because
back
they
in with
either
them.
no, they eventually they have to go back the way they came.
That's what I'm saying. So mixing with no other race isn't going to help. They're going to have to mix with the
Right. They're
Phoenician.
gonna because nature gonna move them in such a way that they're gonna go back the way they came.
Could that be the reason why they say they go sterile every 16th generation, or they're going sterile now because their birth rate is at like a zero? Like
I
their
don't know.
birth rate
I
is,
heard all this, but I think remember
yeah,
I think I did the number um on 16 generations, and I had proved that that was not true because it's they still reproducing. But
you
the
did.
thing is, they are suffering because they killed a lot of people. So it's not a lot of that is just karma. That ain't really got nothing to do with them having weak genetics because they play with genetics. They gene splice, they do all that stuff. So people, that's what I'm saying. People who spread that type of misinformation around is
Maybe
pseudo.
that's why. Maybe that's why they're letting the Middle Eastern into this country now
No, they're doing
so
that
much.
because they're trying to break the country down to fit the Agenda 21.
Mm.
That ain't got nothing to do with anything else but that. That's why Biden them talking
When
about
it
they
comes
going.
to that, that Judge Dredd map looks exactly like it.
This is why they allow. That's why they talking about they gonna cut damn near $500,000 to the immigrants that got separated in 2018. It's all part of the plan. They trying to drive up the prices, make people quit their jobs using that V shot. Um,
Yeah, I just got a job offer for a lot of money, and they told me I had to take that thing first. Yeah, so had to turn that down. Yeah, just turn. I just had to turn it down, man. I saw the number, the pay rate on that thing. I was like, oh my god, yeah, I'm interested. Then I got all the way down to the bottom of the email. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm going to have to turn this down.
yeah, it's death is everywhere. It's gonna be a rough next uh 8 months.
Yeah.
And people don't have to,
So back to these pygmy gods, because that's what I've been most interested in.
you gotta. That's why you gotta read the book, and then you have to go look. Then you have to go search in ancient Kemet. You gotta read different things. You gotta search uh scientific journals. Old books. For this information to be able to confirm it.
Well, I was in the middle of the Book of the Dead in the pyramid text. No, not the Book of the Dead, the pyramid text. Um, when I, before I linked up with you, I was going over it a second time.
Yeah, man. You gotta remember that that's a spell book. So you reading it even though you ain't reading it in the way they wrote it, like in a type of poetic type of way.
Yeah, I know
It's
none of the
still
stuff that we read. Majority of the stuff that we read ain't the way they really wrote it or intended it to be read. So
go ahead.
that explains these. This kind of explains these apocalypse, where these apocalypse theories came from, because according to new science, in order for these gods to come back, all the life that they gave has to be taken back.
Yeah, it's just the chemicals have to change. That's it. We have to go back. Well, we came from them, but they didn't come from us, so we can't give birth to them because the planet gave birth to them. We'll just end up um what we'll end up doing is we'll be to get to 6 East and exist for like the first 6,000 years of no 9,000 years of 6 East, and we only gonna live to see the first two pair of pygmy gods, and then we'll pass away and change chemically.
So what happened? Like, where do we like? What happens to us after life? You know, do we still have our consciousness?
If they no, only in the bottom half of your consciousness, if you get an incarnation of a spirit, the spirit can keep your memories and personality alive. Only in the bottom half, because in the top half, it's the pygmy gods, and they do things differently. And
So
we don't
there's no
we belong
afterlife,
we
heaven, hell,
belong
none of
we
that.
belong in the bottom half. We can't exist in the top half. Just the
Okay.
same way, only for a little bit. The same way they only can exist for a little bit down here because they come from where the hotter something was, the more life they were able to live, and it was more abundance of oxygen that helped with the burning. And so once that temperature changed, they eventually had to die off too because they can't exist in a temperature that's less than what they were originally created to be in.
Mm-hmm.
The same way if you catch a cold and your body fight off the sickness, it becomes what? Hot. Because burning is a life. So the body still has that in it
Uh-huh.
to get hot to fight off a sickness. So the pygmy gods lost heat of their fire. That's why you see all this fire form up here. Liquors with fire. 7 ether that represent the fire that these 3 pygmy gods had, and then 8 ether solids, the 9 ether gases. So these are temperatures as well for these races. So as they came back down, the temperature dropped when they got the 6 ether, when they had the Cambrian explosion that changed life from the top half, the life of life to the life of death or gamma ray. Once infrared lost its power, then things mutated, and so
So
that's
we
when the
we ain't
life
got no afterlife, none of that.
we're in the afterlife because the real life is in the top half. You have the life of life, and then you have the life of death. Meaning, in the top half, life only exists in the top half. Death don't exist up there. When we come into play, then death takes on all shapes and types of forms. So we in what you would call afterlife of life, in the life of death section, or as they say in the Book of the Dead, the duet. You in the underworld. Because if you look at the smat circle, we in the bottom. We down
Mm-hmm.
here. We in the underworld. We've been in the underworld for 18 million some years.
So we don't exist in the top half at all.
Now we chemically are metamorphosized and changed back into our ancestors because we existed inside of them.
Okay.
And before they died, they gave birth to us when we came out of them. So we get metamorphosized chemically and changed back into them. So the chemicals, the heat, and all that stuff, it'll break all that stuff down, and we'll
So
go
we
back
do
into them.
exist. We just
Yeah, we
exist
do.
in
We
another
do
form.
exist, but we don't take.
You make it sound so depressing.
Oh my! Well, I ain't trying to. I'm just saying we exist. It's the same way they exist in us, but they not taking over your life though. They're
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. I didn't mean like, when they come back, like we exist like to like, as them, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
We
we
do
exist
exist
with
just
them.
in
We'll be within them
yeah.
chemically speaking. See, we can't pass our blood on to them. They can pass their blood on us, but we can be put back into them chemically, which they'll change our form um
So it's
into
like
where
it's
we'll just go back into them. The same way these
kind of
pygmy
like
gods,
recycling each other.
right? But the thing is, that's what the story of what's the Egyptian potter. What god was that?
Who you say?
the Kemet god that made men on the potter's wheel?
I think it was Ta.
No,
No,
hold on.
or the ox head dude, right?
No, hold on. The Egyptian god of the potter's wheel. Khnum.
Yeah, that was the ox head dude.
Oh, okay. You said the ox head. Yeah, Khnum. Yeah, Khnum represents um the Khnum would be like represent what me and Anouk was talking about, the slab graveyard, because the earth,
Yeah.
remember the tectonic plate, and they got something called a subduction zone where the when two land masses clash and then an opening comes up and then it opens up a way to go down into the earth. So when it says, I'm gonna pull it up just for learning purposes. But we went into this on the out of America theory.
Uh huh.
Newt was showing that. We'll come back to this in a minute. Hold on.
Hold up, let me put it up. There we go.
You're gonna want. You see that?
Uh huh.
So that's the subduction zone, and then it'll something open up like this called a accretionary wedge, and from here you can see what the crust, and it goes all the way down. So when the pygmy gods was up here in the water, see where the water's at the top?
Mm-hmm.
All right, when they died, they sunk down to the center of the earth. And I'm
Okay.
gonna show you the picture. See, here go here another one. See all this right here, it goes all the way down.
And you said they just when they die, they just like stop in their tracks.
They stop wherever they at. Afro said, just like death sneak up on us, it
So they
happens
don't
the
have
same way with them. They catch them, they just stop.
no
Not
sickness, no nothing. They could be in the middle of whatever
that's
they doing.
when the top half, when they do a lot of work for 9,000 years of activities, they freeze up wherever they at because they done exhausted so much energy, and then they have to.
Did they know when it was coming? Like when
No,
the energy was
Afro
getting
said
low?
they. He said they don't know when that comes, and they have to rest and soak and in the water for like 9 years straight, and then
Mm.
they get revitalized and they just go back to doing what they was doing. So these just showing you when they died after 6,000 years being in evolution, wherever they was at, they went down, they sunk, and we got to understand too, they were made of diamonds.
Mm.
So when they again for something to sink to get to the
Take
bottom of the
millions of
earth,
years.
you had to be heavy.
So they were huge.
No, they were short. They just was powerful and had supernatural powers.
Mm.
And they had to go down to the crust of the earth with a slab graveyard at. Let me pull that up. Because the earth is still moving.
So the pygmy gods get wait, I'm confused.
Let me know if you can see that.
Because apparently didn't the Egyptian gods and all those other gods communicate? Weren't they around for humans?
What they what?
According to the ancients, they were communicating with those gods. Well, people say they communicate with
Yeah,
the gods now.
not the pygmy gods.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So,
The spirit gods, yeah, they still here. They've been here since the beginning. The pygmy gods were physical. The spirit gods were
oh,
spirit.
so they weren't part of the Earth creation?
The spiritual God, yeah. The earth had, see, the sun is the one that created everything or grew everything.
Mm-hmm. The
And
universe
then
is like
gave
a
the earth her spirits. And then I think the earth gave the moon its spirits, like that. But those spirits, original spirits from creation, been here. The spirits
okay.
was here before the pygmy gods.
Oh, okay. That's why I was kind of confused. I was like, were the pygmy gods here first or the spirit gods?
Right, the spirit gods were here first.
So were they able to manipulate the pygmy gods like they manipulate us?
No, they wasn't. It wasn't no deception in the top half. They was helpful and stuff like that.
Mm.
When
So
they
why
got down here, because nature moves in opposite, so all of the
when they
good
got
stuff
down
that
here they
they
start becoming negative?
right. And once they got down here, see all of the good that they enjoyed in the top half, we get the opposite of that in degrees.
Why? What did we do?
Nothing. That's just nature's laws. It moves in opposite. So they got 18 million years from 6 east to 9 north, the best activities and the best of everything. And
So
when it
the
got to
pygmy
us,
gods.
we got the 18 million years of the worst. We started out good, but it became worse as it got down to where we at. So it's that's the trade-off.
Mm.
We ain't do nothing really, but you end up doing things as time progressed because of the negative opposites. And so the same way they was doing positive actions, we doing negative actions because that's just the way it is. That's the long distance karmatic exchange.
So did our like the first descendants of the pygmy gods, did they have the powers of their
Now
parents?
those powers changed. They didn't have the same powers. They was able to, swim and float and things like that. But as far as like the pygmy gods can take on any form they wanted to when Nupu was ruling. When they got to the zoo, they actually became those things with their natures. Like Afron said, they can be anything they wanted. They can be insects. They could have transformed into sharks, but that was part of their leisure.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Because they wasn't like in a heaven type state. It was nothing. That was they did to pass their time when they wasn't doing stuff on the planet, keeping the planet up. They would turn into those things because you know Nupu and Zupu already knew what everything would be from the beginning to the end. So
So
they had access
Nupu is
to the future.
explain Nupu and Zupu.
What Nupu is the positive side of the one supreme being. We talking about mentality. Let me just read it real quick so you can see it. Hold on. All right. You can see that or no?
Uh, no, you might have to read.
All right, hold on. I probably have to I ain't stopped sharing my screen. That's what it was. Hold on. Cause I want to get to this Hindu thing. Hold on. All right. Then we can move on. All right. Let me know when you can see that.
Hold on, I'm about to put it up now. All right, it's up there.
All right. All right. These are the personalities of nature by reason. Listen to reason. Of course, the word personality in the English language alludes to one's personal moods and also mental disposition as well as certain traits that distinguish one person from another. In other words, personality is a person, individual, and personal ways and means of relating to other persons, places, and things. Absolute nature, as the one supreme being, has a dual personality, and each of these two personalities is flexible and changeable. That is, the disposition of each personality and the nature of each gradually alter for better or worse with the changing times. One personality is the opposite of the other, and they exist at the same time, nor in the same cycle, except the circle cycle or the smack circle of order. The top half of the circle of order is the time zone in which exists the congenial and peaceful personality of absolute nature. And in the bottom half of the same circle exists the incongenial and warlike personality of almighty nature, and among and within its persons and organisms, including its spirit organisms called spirit beings and spirit systems. Let it be, remember, always let it be known. Listen to reason. The name of the first personality is Nupu, and it's no coincidence that the letters number of Nupu is number 9 this way in the American English. N is the 14th letter of the English alphabet, O is the 15th, P is the 16th, N 14th, O 15, O 15 plus 16 plus 15 plus 15 equals Nupu, 90. This not counting the H. And 9 plus 0 equals 9, which is the single digit number of the name Nupu, and takes note that the perfection of the heavenly personality takes place at 9 north, tip top of the order circle. See figure 2, 4, 5, and 6 and 7 in part 2 of this book. The H at the end of the word Nupu is added because the name Nupu must be spelled in odd letters, plus the fact that the H stands for the 9 half of the smack circle of order, which is the heavenly half. The name Nupu must be spelled in odd number of letters like 3, 5, or 7, or 9, because the digit 9 is odd, like the one supreme being is 1 and odd. The letter H at the end of the name Nupu is silent and should always be capitalized because its symbol is symbolic. Let it be remembered, always let it be known. Listen to reason. The name of the second personality of absolute almighty nature is Zupu, pronounced Zoopoo. And it is no coincidence that the letters number Zupu is number 3 like this. As explained in the preceding paragraph in the American English Dictionary, Z is the 26th letter of the English alphabet, O is the 15th, P is the 16th letter. Let me see, Z 26, O 15, O 15, P 16, O 15, O 15 equals Zupu. 102 and 10 plus 2 equals 12. 1 plus 2 equals 3, which is the single digit number name of Zupu. And take note that the perfection of the hellish personality occurs at 3 points south, rock bottom of the circle of order. See figures 2, 4, 5, 6, and 7 again in part 2 of this presentation. The H at the end of the word and name Zupu is added to parallel and balance the H at the end of the word and name Nupu, plus the fact that the H at the end of the Zupu stands for the 6th or hex half of the smack circle of order. And the reason why he's using hex, because, let me just break this down. Before I move forward, when you read the word hex in etymology, it means to practice witchcraft, from German hexen to hex, related to hex, a witch. From Middle High German, hexe, from Old High German, hagazusa, hag, a noun meaning magic, spell. It's first recorded in 1909. Earlier it meant a witch. Compare Middle English, hexte, the devil. Perhaps originally sorcerer, probably from Old English, hathis. I'm reading from the etymology. All right. Hag is a repulsive old woman, probably from Old English, hagetes, witch, sorceress, enchantress, fury, shortened on assumption that tes was a suffix. The word is from Proto-Germanic hagatusgen, which is of unknown origin. It means witch. And so when we're dealing with Noone, you're gonna see this written a lot of times in different areas because in the bottom half, six ether and below is hex magic, meaning that in order for Zupu to control person, places, and things, Zupu uses um witchcraft and different forms of that type of negative magic to control and keep hellish conditions that's going on. So that's why you see the word six or hex have, because they use sex, it also use violence and animals, just being animals in existence emanate this negative energy and magic. And this is what controls, like I said, a lot of people, places, and things. So it says the letter H at the end of Zupu is silent and should always be capitalized because it is symbolic. Of course, the two personalities, opposites, in the manifestations of eternal nature. Let it be remembered, always let it be known. So that's just giving you a basic rundown of Zupu and Nupu, meaning these are these are the one supreme being personalities, and that the one supreme being is space, matter, and time. And so, depending on where you at on the smack circle, like right now, Nupu is only, excuse me,
So
95
the one.
years old since they were born in the mind of the sons and in Afro Unu's mind as well, even though he passed. But Nupu come through the stars first. So Nupu been here 95 years emanating from the sun and pushing positive energy to all the orbs and the moons and stuff. But go ahead.
No, so I was just going to ask. So you saying that the one supreme creator has two different personalities, and
Yeah,
they are
just like a
Zupu and
human
Nupu?
being. Like you
Is a
got a good
duality.
side, you got a good personality and a bad one.
Is a duality.
Right, the duality. We just small versions, except with the one supreme being, it takes millions and millions of years for one personality to switch to the other one.
Oh, okay, I see.
So when you ask these questions, why? So now you look around you, now you see the young pharaohs, the Hitlers, the Aleister Crowleys, all this stuff because Zupu rules in this manner. That's why people gonna always follow somebody because magic is involved. In this case, witchcraft. This is why people are once you get into deep into what's really controlling the music industry and politics and Hollywood, it all go back to that. You're gonna find somebody doing some type of magic, sex magic, and rituals in order for all these people to get up and be like, you know what? I want to go to Hollywood and be an actor and just get up and lead a town, get up and go to a whole nother part of the world. And they end up either, getting caught up in it or getting killed. You never hear from them again. That's what time it is. That's why he put the word hex there. So you have to look up these words when he mentioned these because then you will have a better understanding why things work the way they work. Because the deeper we got into the bottom half, the stronger the negative forces of magic and spirits and spirit female gods and goddesses became. A religion is one of the biggest uh things going. That's why a person who can talk well, like polite and a pastor or preacher, whatever, they grab that book of spells, whatever it is, and spit it, and everybody is running that race because they're not thinking because the magic comes
So
through.
that's what you're saying. All the religions are in the
All the religions,
religious texts, or
all
just
the
a book of
religious texts,
spells.
all of them is spells. And when people are reading that stuff every day, and they got churches and buildings, everyday songs, every day reproducing the book every day, because that's how a spell have to keep being powerful. It has to be repeated, whether it's positive or negative. it has to have a constant repetition. So once they invented the way to make books, and you keep repeating it and reproducing it, replicating it, then you changing the formula to the spell, because now you have Bibles that was here before 1611, and the 1611 version, he had all those different versions after that in English. Then you translate it to another language, and then you replicating that book all the time. And so it has a spell and has magic on it. That's why the Bible is one of the best selling books of all time.
If not the best selling book of all time.
They said that too. So that's the point that we're making. So if you don't understand that about the Bible, then you'll never understand why people are still giving all their money and all this stuff that they do. It's spells. It's a book of spells. But the Caucasian ain't gonna never tell you that. He knows the spell book. That's why he allowed a satanic version to be made. They got a gay Bible version. The Satanist
Yeah,
got the Bible.
I ain't never heard of the gay Bible. I never heard of the slave Bible.
Yeah,
The
then you
devil
got the
version.
Satanic Bible. It's wrote backwards, and it's all of that because it can be used for that.
Yeah.
Because it's negative anyway, so it don't matter. You can write
And
a
you know
gang
what's
banging,
crazy? You know
huh?
who owns the Bible?
Say what?
The J people own the Bible.
I don't know. I heard it did.
Yeah, they own the copyrights to it, according to Farrakhan.
I heard other people say that too. But
That's what I
they
heard said.
control the power, because even though the New Testament and the Book of Revelation speak against them and say they not the real J people, the Christians still protects them because they under a spell. And they use Christian America to get that piece of land overseas that really belongs to Africa.
Yep.
Spells. This is when you hear me asking that question in that video, when I was talking about the land of Canaan. If Canaan was cursed, then the land of Canaan, which they call Israel today, should be cursed. And if that's the case, why did the Jews go back to that land? Why did y'all want that land if it's supposed to be cursed? But they running things from that world because it's part of the game to make that piece of land appear to be holy. With all that fighting and death, and y'all killing the Palestinians and mistreating other black people that are there, who were there before you, how is it holy if y'all massacring and stealing land? Like, oh, that's like somebody trying to say America is holy with all the dirt that's been done there. That's like, but that's what they believe when they saying,
Oh, they
oh,
think America's holy.
America, all that old stuff, the land of the free, home of the brave, all the songs they got of America. But look at what took place that led up to that. And if you really believe that, then that
The
means they're
slaughter
under a
of
spell
innocent
too.
people.
Right, because they try to tell history from, the country became a country in the year 1776. And what about what y'all did from 1492?
Exactly.
So y'all just gonna act like that didn't count. But that's what they
And then
do.
they tell it to our kids, us and our kids, as if, you know, they came over here in peace, friendly. The
But
only
that's
bad
what
part
I'm
they
saying.
learn about is the Trail of Tears.
Let me see something. What I wanted to go into. All right. So we're gonna get into the. Let's see. All right, let's get into the Adam and Eve thing real quick, so I can lace this one up. Let me know when you're there.
It's up there.
All right. All right. Okay. Then we can run through this. All right. Listen to reason. So the earth god, moon god, and the underworld god did make man, the Caucasian man, as the process continues. So when they say let's make man in our image, this particular case, when they say that in the Bible, it's talking about the Caucasian man. So the earth god, which is Geb, right, the so-called husband of Nut. I'm gonna have to send you. I think I got some videos explaining that on on this whole thing. All right. Then the moon god, that's Tahuti, and the underworld god is Osiris. All three of these gods came together and made the Caucasian man, the spirits, right? These three spirit gods, together with their helpers, right?
Uh-huh.
To my physical people, right? Because if you go back into the priest and nuns thing that we did, the helpers were the Tibetan monks, the ones that sit up there and om and what got the bald heads with the
Yeah.
little orange looking robes and all that.
Yeah.
Them they ancestors is the ones that contributed to that whole debacle of what took place in the garden or the Gulf of Aden. So if people want to know what
Oh,
happened
wow.
with that, go back and watch the video, the videos we did on the priests and nuns um explained. I think that's what it's called. I got you got all the videos over there.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
know. I know which one you're talking about.
All right.
That was
These
one
three
of the first videos I put up.
right. These three spirit gods, together with their helpers, have surely made a new world of sin, the moon cycle, by causing Adam and Eve to break the laws of the sun god Re Harakti in the temples of Ptah, pronounced Pa or Ta, which possessed the Menphite theology, the philosophy of creation, the knowledge of nature, and the science of well-being. That is to say, the metaphysics of absolute nature. During the gestation periods by the rebel nuns, the ghost god Pluto, also known as Dis and Osiris, overshadowed the wombs of each and every dissonant nun. This one, Newt was saying that what they did was called DNA methylation, meaning Osiris interfered with the melanin process and the sun heat genes, stopping them from cooking the skin and making them black. They came out albino. All right. And this ghostation process is what caused each firstborn child of the nuns to be albino. It is well known the ghost spirit is white in color, and let it be further known that it denatures and ghost sizes physical skin to become pale or white during the ghostation process by interfering with the skin color factor called melanin and hereditary factors known as sun genes. Ghost is three ether spirit, who is the last evolutionary stage of ether spirit. Let it be remembered, always let it be known. Listen to reason. On the island of the on the Asian islands, Adam and Eve had more offspring called Abel, but these children were black in color with straight black hair like their parents, Adam and Eve. And as the black and white children grew up together, came for various reasons, including hate and being different, started oppressing and killing off the darker children, and this beginning of true racial prejudice in the form of violence.
Mm. So that explains Cain killing Abel. It was one race killing off another.
Where they was family.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Caused Adam and Eve, their parents, to call for help against Cain, Cain's outrage and murderous spree. The moon god, sin also called Hermes, and Mercury reacted to the cry of the rebel priests and nuns by appearing to the leader of the Cain group in a vision and told Seth, the leader of the Cain group, to take his group of albinos and immigrate from the Asian islands to the land of Nod. The word Nod is short for northward, and located northward from the Asian islands is Europe. So Seth and his clan went to Europe where they found other darker peoples, right? And this is where I told you, if you read that book, the Phoenician origins of the Brits, the Scottish, and the Anglo-Saxons. I told you in that book, when they got to Europe, it was 10 kingdoms of African pygmies there already that they killed them and took the land. This is what the guy wrote in the book, in his book of facts and evidence and digging up bones and all this stuff. All that's in his book. So Seth and his clan went to Europe where they found other darker people, but before they left for Europe, the moon god Sin put a mark on Cain according to the Caucasian Bible, and that mark was the cross, which is a symbol of the Caucasian religion even today at the time of this writing. The act by the moon god transferred the powers of the cross, the astrological sign of the spirit dead, and planet Earth from the darker races to the Caucasian race. It is fact that Cain eventually killed off most of the darker peoples of Europe like they did the American Indians, but for people like the Spaniards and Turkish people. Let it be remembered, always let it be known. All right. Listen to reason. The story of the Caucasian Bible concerning the flood of Noah happening since the birth of Cain. The Caucasian race is an interpolation, a literary injection from time immemorial designed to cover up the fact that Cain still exists and that Cain, the Caucasian race, is the predominant and oppressive force of the Caucasian Bible, helped by the earth god Dagon, the moon god Sin, and the underworld god Pluto. The flood of Noah occurred approximately 18 million years ago. It was part of the 0.6 was cataclysm. The sun god Amun-Ra, Reharakti, was replaced by the god Horus as the celestial firepower, and thereby one of the mountain of Moses was called Horeb, meaning mountain of the suns. The sun god Horus is the mythological son of Osiris, Pluto, according to legend. Therefore, the sun god Reharakti of the Ethiopian race had to fade into the background and become known as Horus, the son of Osiris, because the moon god Sin, Mercury, the traditional messenger of the gods, had taken over spiritual leadership for the first 4,000 years of the moon cycle, and Osiris, who was active along the side of the moon god, took over spirit leadership for the last 2,000 years of the moon cycle.
So Osiris and Ra are the same?
No, he's saying that Ra became known as Horus because we talking about the names changed through the different dynasties.
Yes. So,
and when he said he became the sun, he just basically meant that he was we lost power and was ruling. They was ruling us the same way.
If so that's how he became the son of Osiris.
Right. It's like up in New York, they'd be like, yo, you just got sunned. Like there's somebody that beat you in basketball or whatever. Yeah. That's what that means. So that our sun god of our race, as long as it's same as us, became
subjective.
The same way the Caucasian is. Like right now, what do they call us? They say when they say today, they be like, oh, if you do stuff for the Caucasian and be working for them against your own, they be like, oh, look at you calling your white zaddy or you calling your daddy. You see, it's the same. It's still there. That's why that term exists, because the Caucasian race basically is the father of our people, because they give us food stamps and all this stuff like that. They didn't allow us to do for self for a long time. All right.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
All right, so let me go to the other one. All right. Listen to reason. The moon god Sin Mercury or Hermes, who is the legendary messenger of the gods and interchangeable with the serpent god Set, as shown by his attribute, the Caduceus, plotted with the earth god Dagon, Poseidon, Sobek, and the underworld god Pluto, Dis or Osiris, indeed, to make Caucasian man. The moon god Sin, same as the god Mercury, symbolizing the Caduceus and represented by members of the Mongolian race, persuaded Eve, the nuns, to do or indeed, use Spanish fly. Catharsis, aphrodisiac, potent sex stimulants. Sin is an ancient name of the moon god connected to Caucasian Jews by Sinai, meaning mountain of the moon. And I broke that down in the priest and the nun joint, where we show how the Tibetan monks got a mountain up there they call the Mount of Sin. And in that mountain, they gave them there's some type of worms or something, or fungus that grows up there that helps you with an erection and give you strong sexual urges when you use it. So the Tibetan monks is the reason why the Adam and Eve story went the way it went. Plus, it was time to go that way. It was time for the Caucasian to come into being. Meaning the mountain of the moon and connected to the members of the Mongolian race by Sino. That's when I looked it up. Sino, it's a mountain up there. But you see the word sin in it, meaning of or pertaining to the Mongolians by race. So when I looked at the word Mongolian, that's what the Tibetan monks would be considered Mongolians. And they do have the Mongolian mountains and all that stuff. All that stuff over there with Genghis Khan and China and all that stuff like that. That's all of that. That's all them. The Mongolian race.
Okay.
It said Eve the nuns now having powerful sex urges all the time because of the potent sex stimulants, persuaded Adam the priest to have sexual intercourse with them by giving the priest the same kind of sex stimulants in their food which the nuns were using in their diet and exposing their feminine curves. Adam did participate with Eve in the carnal knowledge of the tree of good and evil, which was forbidden by the celibacy commandments of the sun god Rehorakti. If you want to know what those laws of the sun god were, all you had to do was go here. All right, I'm going to show you. All right, let me share my screen. Tell me if you can see that.
Yeah, I see it.
Let me see if they got the what you call it here. But this is what it is. It's called the Laws and Codes of Manu. I'm trying to see what it's. Let me go out. I'm trying to show you so you can see him. Hold on. The Manu's mystery. Let me see. I'm trying to find it. Okay, here we go. Tell me if you can see that.
Yeah, I can see it.
All right, these are the laws that Adam and Eve broke. and they broken up into 12. But it's a lot of stuff when you click on it. And Manu was Rehoboam, also Menez of the first dynasty. Same person.
Mm.
He was ruling Africa, Asia, Europe, all of that. So when you want to get into it, this is what they were believing in. The laws of Manu. These are the laws that they was following because he was priests and nuns. So if you read all of this stuff, it'll go into what is right for a priest to do, what's wrong for a priest to do. It breaks up the whole caste system. They got celibacy laws and stuff. See right here, a Brahmanan. They got different names, a Sudra, all these different names that they had. See that they are the right of Brahma, that of the gods, that of the rishis. It's all of that. So that's what you go to when you want to just look at what the Adam and Eve group was into. They was following the sun god, but in the form of Hinduism, because the priest in things in Kemet, we had the what you would call the Memphite theology. We had the metaphysics of nature. We knew about the stars and how they created everything and stuff. The Hinduism, they had a lesser version of that.
Okay.
All right. All right. So let me get back to where we was. All right.
Saida in the building. What's up?
Oh, she done made it over here. True peace, Aida. All right. So let me go back to what we was reading. All right. All right. So it says Eve the nuns now having powerful sex urges all the time because of the potent sex stimulus persuaded Adam, the priest, to have sexual intercourse with them by giving the priest the same kind of sex stimulus in their food which the nuns were using in their diet and exposing their feminine curves. Adam did participate with Eve in the carnal knowledge of the tree of life of good and evil, which was forbidden by the celibate commandments of the sun god Rehoboam, King Amenubi, who was a reincarnation of the god Rehoboam, right? Knew what had occurred by spirit and mental telepathy, as well as having been told, and he did visit the temples of Ptah, the father of all, for verification and confirmation. King Amenubi and many of his Sabius helpers were members of the Ethiopian race, let it be remembered. Listen to reason. So another part of the plot and long-term plan was to dethrone and depower Ethiopian kings and rulers everywhere. However, King Amenubi Taharati ordered his military guards to exile Adam and Eve from the Garden of Eden, Africa and Asia, to the now Greek Asian islands in the Mediterranean Sea, where the dissident nuns became pregnant with Cain, the firstborn, when Adam and Eve violated the sun god's celibate laws, and they are said to have sinned or committed sin, meaning they did the will of the moon god, whose name was sin. The rebel priests and nuns were banished to the Asian islands, where they gave birth to their firstborn offspring, known as Cain. Cain was not one person, but a group of albinos who were the beginning of the Caucasian race, for the name Cain is indeed diminutive and short for Caucasian. The firstborn of each and every one of the rebel priests and dissident nuns was albino, meaning a baby born with ghost-like skin and blonde hair and blue eyes. Let it be remembered always, and let it be known. All right. So we're gonna read this next part. Listen to reason. So the earth god, the moon god, and the underworld god did make man, Caucasian man, as the process continues. These three spirit gods, together with their helpers, have surely made a new world of sin, the moon god by causing Adam Eve to break the laws of the sun god Re Harakti in the temples of Tar, pronounced Tar, which possessed the Memphite theology, the philosophy of creation, the knowledge of nature, the science of well-being, that is to say, the metaphysics of absolute nature. During the gestation period, the rebel nuns of ghost god Pluto, also known as Dissident Osiris, overshadowed the wombs of each and every dissident nun, and this gestation process is what caused each firstborn child of the nuns to be albino. And it's well-known fact that ghost spirit is white in color, and let it be further known that it denatures. Okay, we went through that. I'm trying to find the time zone. Hold on. Let me see. I just seen this because I wanted you to see the number. Oh, let me do it like this. All right. Let me see. Okay, right here. You see where I'm at? Number 183.
Yeah.
All right, listen to read. The Caucasian race is shown on the dot next to the last dot counterclockwise on the order circle, shape 31 on page 68, but the writer does put it there for the purpose of orderly sequence because that dot is 2 million years away from the end of evolution. Yet the Caucasian race was originated 6,000 years ago before the end of evolution, whose ending began in the Caucasian Christian year 1962 when a year like this. So it goes to some other stuff. So now, right, I already showed y'all that the Caucasian came from the Hindus, right?
Uh-huh.
So what you do now is you go into their stuff.
What you mean they?
The Hindus.
Oh.
You have to go into their information. So when you go into the information, you have to look up something called the Rig Vedas. Rigvedas. The Rig Vedas.
The Rig Vedas.
Mm-hmm. And you can find this story in the Mahabharata. The Mahabharata in the Bhagavad Gita, 4000 BC.
Yeah,
And I told you,
I've read this one. I can't never pronounce it though. I
all
always try to
right.
pronounce it, can mispronounce it.
Now this right here, look what it say, 4000 BC. How long ago is that?
4,000 years.
Yeah, that's 4000 before BC. But if you add our time
Oh,
into it,
that'll be 6,021 years.
6021. Now, right now it says the greatest story ever told and the greatest story that will ever be told. Right? It said the most potent yoga, asanas, and mudra put the body into a Mobius cord to generate a scholar field. It said the white man has patented this in his own name as super brain yoga. It says what 6,000 years ago, Krishna made Arjuna do Devar Buja what is it? Karanam before Surya Namaskar before the first day of battle. Now this is a battle that lasted about 18 days. All right. When you read this stuff, you with me?
Yeah.
From day 2 to 18, the entire Pandava and the Kaurav armies did it before Shanks were blows for resuming battle. So it goes into the battle. It talks about what took place. And again, I'm just gonna skim through it. But it says that the Mahabharata is also a treasure house of information on ancient India. This took 6,000 years ago. It has a history, statecraft, religion, and mythology all woven to amazingly rich and glorious fabric. Now, a lot of people think that this wasn't true because the way the Vedas are written, it's in a poetic form.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the way they write. But they had a lot of stuff they told. So some of this stuff is they add some other things in here about spaceships and all that, but they ain't what we focusing on.
The Vimanas.
Okay. See if I can find that real quick. Da, 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 da. Let me see if I can find it. Because that was 6,000 years ago. I had a lot of stuff in there. Hold on. Where is it? Because there's a guy named Veda Vyasa. And that was the where the story started at. And they started fighting. And I think he was like the great grandfather. But they was fighting for like 18 days. 18 days.
That's a long time to fight.
And there was a bunch of them. I'm trying to see if it's in this particular story because Veda Vyasa um, had, I think it was a son or a grandson. I'm trying to find it now. Hold on. I can just pull the thing up, but this just want you to see if you ever read this. The Vedas is plenty of Vedas. There's plenty of Vedas, and they like hella long, like they epics. You know, like 100,000 verses that they were saying. Some say 88,000. It depends. Let me see. This one is hella big. Let me go back to the what you call. I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. Hold on. But Veda, this is supposed to be Vyasa. It's different versions, but that's Veda Vyasa. And he had a great memory too. I'm just trying to skip to the story. Cause we was really, me and Noone was really reading through all this stuff, trying to figure out which Veda it was in. And these things are so long, it don't even it don't even make no sense.
Anything go long.
Hmm.
They are long.
He was a sage too. I'm trying to see. It's hard to look through here, and then I be trying to skip, trying to find where he had his son is at. Okay, here we go. It's the picture over there. Let me see. Since he also wrote the 40,000 page book. I think he said because Tahuti, I forgot the other name that Tahuti took on and sat with him, and he wouldn't move until he wrote everything down. It's a crazy. These stories is wild when you read them. But this is one of his sons right here, which is Pandu, and he was saying Pandu because you paled on seeing my ugliness. Your son should be pale, and that will be his name, a woman with a beautiful face. Vyasa, that was his third son. And when you go into that, that was the dark skin war with the pale skin, which is Pandu. Pandu was the third son, and that's who that war was with. I'm just trying to get a Vyasa's son. Let me see if this come up. All right, here's some of the stories. So Satyavati proposed a solution before she married King Samatanu. She had given birth to the great seer Vyasa, compiler of the sacred Vedas and author of the Mahabharata. Vyasa had promised his mother that if she ever needed him, he would appear to help. So Satyavati summoned Vyasa and asked him to have sex with two queens, Ambika and Ambalika, to father the king of Hastinapura. Vyasa agreed, but warned the queens that due to his life of austerity, he was very dirty, smelly, and ugly. The queens had no choice for the sake of the kingdom. They had to F this smelly, bearded mystic. So Vyasa had sex with the eldest queen, Ambika first. However, she was so horrified by the seer's appearance, she closed her eyes during sex. Consequently, she gave birth to a blind son named Dhartarashtra, a blind boy. Everyone agreed did not make an ideal king. So Vyasa then had sex with the younger queen, Ambalika, but she too was so horrified by the seer's appearance that she turned pale during sex. Consequently, she gave birth to a pale son named Pandu, the Pale King. From these two sons, the blind Dahasta, the pale Pandu, will be born the two warring factions of cousins, the Kauravas and the Pandavas, whose epic battle from the central conflict of the Mahabharata. Interestingly, the guy who wrote the Mahabharata, Vyasa, was also the guy who literally fathered the two sons who will go to war. So in both literary and literature, he would say that Vyasa, the seer, birthed the Mahabharata. So this is talking about the Caucasian when they came on the plate in the scene and ended up fighting their cousins, which we know that actually they was fighting they brothers and sisters, the dark
Mm-hmm.
group. So here it said from unsatisfied with the blind king and the pale king, Satyavati asked Vyasa to once again have sex with the eldest queen and Bika, but the queen was not down with that. So she dressed up her servant girl to do the deed. And like the queen, the servant girl was not disgusted by the seer's appearance that made sweet love all night. In the morning, Vyasa said, "You are no longer a servant." And that just goes on other stuff. But when you go into this 18-day war of the Mahabharata, it goes into that, and it talks about it was 18 days, and this happened approximately 6,000 years ago. Is when this story actually took place, and so that's their version. And so when you read the nature books, it tells you that Cain was killing the darker people off, and they was praying to the moon god to get them out of there, to get them off the Asian islands, and they left there and went to Europe. So the war didn't take place in India per se. It took place on the Asian islands.
Okay.
So that's the story. When you start getting into that, that's their sacred text. That's their Bible, is the Vedas. So so I just showed y'all where you can find the story of the Caucasian race um there in the Vedas.
That's crazy. As many a times have I heard the stories in those books, I never, you know, pieced that together.
Yeah, it takes a lot when you reading and you trying to piece it together. Some of our reason will guide you. Like I said, me and Anoop was just doing a lot of reading and stuff because we narrowed it down just by studying what the nature books say. It give you hints, and so we know they was on the Asian islands. We know they came from the Hindus. So we was like, well, the Hindus got to have a story written in something,
Mm-hmm.
and so you know, I think it took like a week, maybe two, just to run through those Vedas and then again we just knew it was gonna be something dealing with somebody being pale in the storyline, and it was, and that was 6,000 years ago. So you ain't gonna find nothing else around that time from them talking about a war. And if you look at it in the Book of Revelation, they tell you there was a war in heaven, and angel and Michael and his angels fought, and the devil fought, and they lost,
Mm-hmm.
and they got kicked out of the Asian islands. And remember, Adam and Eve. Remember, the nature books tell you that Africa and Asia was called what, the Garden of Eden, and they weren't allowed to come back into the Garden of Eden, Asia and Africa, for the first 1,000 years of the 6,000 years that they were supposed to rule.
Mm, I see.
So that was what I wanted to add into that information dealing with with, like I said, the Shem, Ham, and Japheth, the Mongolians, and other certain races, they came about like 16 to 18 million years ago. So I had the proof for that as well. But I just wanted to put that into the pot. Let me see what else. Let me see. Okay, yeah, we got all of that. Everything else because you was talking about the like I said, we have to take it. We have to take this through um a certain stage because you used to asking about Afro Unu's wife and the phone recordings. I got all that stuff, but I wanted to be able to bring some clarity to Noone first,
Yeah.
and then we can kind of because what it's not about him or his wife per se. That was just something that took place in the searching of trying to find out that that York didn't write those books, and that's what we found eventually, and that's where they came from. So that was just the proof of that. But we'll get into all of that as
Yeah, because I never knew that Dr. York was trying to claim to be Afro until you told me.
yeah, he was just doing it on the low low. We didn't like I said, we didn't find out he was doing it to years later. And so once we got a hold of everything, that's when it was like, okay, we got this.
So he was putting that as one of his alias.
In one of
Then.
the books that his followers wrote, they slid it in there because they thought he was Afro and he was allowing them to believe that.
Oh
So
wow.
we got involved and like, oh, this is a bunch of crap.
So it was his followers putting it in there, and he
But
knew, but
yeah,
just
but
didn't say anything.
right, he didn't really clarify it like he should have. And only after we kept going and getting into it with them for years that they finally put out a book giving Afro Unu the credit. because they was lying for years saying we made it up.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to do now. It's just like put some of this information out dealing with Noone so people can be like, oh, okay. And then they can go into that other stuff on the side if they need to. Because what's important now is the facts.
And that's a fact.
So you had anything else you wanted to deal with before we get out of here?
Oh, you pretty much covered everything. You actually covered an extra few things that I was curious about that I didn't even have to ask about.
You and Saeed be having something to say. I'm surprised.
Yeah. I'm surprised Saida didn't have any questions.
Does she
Yeah,
want
when
to
you
come
pick
up?
Saida, if you want to come up, let me know in the chat. If you have any questions to ask.
Because we really didn't. Me and her didn't get a chance to
You got any
chop it up.
questions, Saida?
She ought to come up. She
See,
always
she's
listening
listening.
though.
Oh, her connection is bad. Yeah, she said her connection is bad.
Oh, let me see. Now we can go into this real quick. This is what Anoop was talking about the Cambrian explosion, but that was when 6 ether or gamma burst that came and changed everything. They just not really sure how that occurred. But I'm gonna just play a little short video real quick. Let me know when you can see it.
Hold on, let me put it up. There we go. It's up.
All right, let me see if this is a good video. Just
Oh,
something short.
wait. Push pause. Wait, don't play yet. Hold on. We gotta do one thing first.
Wow, that's animals and stuff. But we're still
Oh,
in the
don't
ocean.
play it yet. We gotta do one thing first before we play it.
Okay, the disclaimer.
Yeah. All right, go ahead.
All right.
Wow, that's animals and stuff. But we're still in the ocean. Hey, can we go on land? No. Why? The
Make it
sun
full
is a
screen.
deadly laser. Oh, okay. Now the animals can go on land. Come on, animals, let's go on land. Nope, can't walk yet. And there's no
You
food
gotta
yet, so I don't care.
pause your mic.
Okay, will you learn to walk if there's plants up here? Maybe, said some bugs. And fish. Okay, so I can go on land, but I have to go back in the water to have babies. Learn to use an egg.
I was already doing that.
Use a stronger egg. Put water in it. Have a baby on land in an egg. Water is in the egg. Baby in the egg, in the water, in the egg. Works for me. And now everything's huge, including bugs. Want to see a map of the land? Sure. Oh, fuck, now everything's dead. Just kidding, here are the survivors. Keep your eye on this one because it's about to become the dinosaurs. Here's another map of the land. Yeah, it broke apart. Don't worry about it. It does that all the time. Here comes a meteor. And the dinosaurs are gone.
But that's how a lot of them
that's
believe. They think that it's something just happened, but they can't explain how the
What the
Cambrian
hell
explosion.
happened?
Yeah, they can't explain. They just know that they say fish and stuff existed first, then the Cambrian explosion happened, and then things started mutating. But that wasn't
Yeah,
the case.
I never really understood how fish mutated into humans.
It wasn't because our ancestors was amphibians, and they procreated us. And the 6 ether from the sun did that. So that was years. You talking about millions of years. We lost the ability to swim in water, and we ended up being stuck on land.
Breathing water.
Yeah, we was able to live in water, not breathe in it.
You said swim in water.
Mm-hmm.
We can still swim
Yeah, but we used to be able to swim and
like
float and
fish.
all of that. They was able to swim and float and all that.
Like pretty much live in it. Actually, what you saying?
Yeah, we was able to be on land and water. Remember, they was in the egg form, but they was designed to be able to be on the planet by themselves. Because when they was born, there was nobody there to help them.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to be strong enough to take care of themselves. Spirit Force was there, but they ended up.
Shit, they say dinosaur never existed.
Yeah, they did. They came from the earth, had our own clay, eggs, and the moon water that mixed with them, and that's how they came about from the earth. And they couldn't reproduce. They were sterile, so they died. They only lived for 6,000 years, 18 million years ago.
Did our ancestors live alongside them?
Yeah, they was there at the same time.
But they were able to fight them off.
I mean, Afro didn't mention that they had um, any dealings with them per se, but you could reason it out based upon what we do know. I'm pretty sure they had to watch out for them.
So Saida asks, so you saying that our ancestors were amphibians?
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, if she part of the black race, those are her ancestors. If she don't have kinky hair, then that's not her ancestors. The black Ethiopian kinky hair race came from them. That's why I had to make that video or
So you saying
bring
we
those.
came from amphibians?
Yeah, our ancestors was amphibians.
Wow.
They were gods and goddesses, way more powerful than we were. They can shape shift and all that.
Oh, so they had the power to be amphibians. Is that what you mean?
Mm-mm. They were amphibians because they was on the planet. Remember, they they were gods though. They were gods and
They
goddesses.
were able to beat all the elements and fend for themselves, right?
Yeah, they
Because
was
they're the
able to.
first
The
ones.
sun helped them, the moon helped them, and the earth helped them. They was taking care of the planet.
Oh, okay.
And we came in the opposite and destroyed the planet.
So in order for the planet to revive itself, we have to be destroyed, and they have to come back.
I mean, we eventually will pass away, to put it nicely. That's all.
Okay.
It ain't that deep.
And when we pass away, they're coming back, right?
Yeah, but that's 18 million years from now before we see those first two.
Oh, right. You said we'll still be around for the first two.
Mm-hmm. But we wouldn't
But
be to
by
exist. We
we will
wouldn't be to
be.
exist in our human form because it's too hot.
Oh, so what form will we be in?
We'll go back and to the planet.
So we won't see them two pop up.
Yeah, we'll see the first two. We won't see the other ones. We'll
Oh,
see the
okay.
first two hydro
So
pigment.
when the first two comes, that signals our end. That signals
Yeah,
us.
we'll be able to live for 9,000 years to watch what goes on up there. But then it'll be too hot, and it's not a human zone. It's a zone. We just able to exist for the first 9,000 years, just like they couldn't exist for the first 6,000 years of evolution.
Mm.
So, like I said, we'll get to see those first two, but then eventually, we wouldn't be able to get past a certain temperature. Of course, we would end up, you know, passing out and disintegrating, you know, or going, you know, wherever, depending on where you go at. It depends on where you pass at.
Mm.
You know, but we wouldn't just, it wouldn't be horrible. It'd be like catching a heat stroke and passing and just sinking down to the earth. Because every other race that's going to die before we get to that point will ended up being metamorphosized and transformed into other energies that'll go right back into the pygmy gods. Because we got to go, we still going to exist, and we won't stop existing in one shape or form or formula. The nature book tells us that. So we'll just end up back inside of them and just be in there the same way we were before. That's how we
Okay.
came out of them when they sexually procreated. We came out of that.
Did you see the comment Saida just put up?
Um,
It's on the screen.
yeah, I see it.
I don't know what she mean by that.
I mean, I heard that. You know, York. Let me just say that it's not a. You know, sperm is not a tadpole though. There's a lot of our teachers been saying certain things like that, but it's really not the same thing. You may see similarities to an extent, but sperm doesn't act like a tadpole. You might see similarities as far as they, you know, in the form of impregnating and stuff like that. But if you look at a semen outside of what it's supposed to do in a tadpole, it's totally different.
From the conception to birth, meaning the process of coming out the womb is like watching evolution in the way.
But a tadpole is an amphibian though. But that again, in Noone, we in the it's four cycles to nature. We're in the third one. So the way the pigment guards were born is not the same way we were
See,
born.
when you say amphibian, like the first thing that come to mind is like frogs or something. I think you what you're saying that amphibian meaning like just the meaning of it can live in or outside of water.
It means that they hatch from eggs and they can live in the water and on dry land. And that's what our ancestors was able to do.
Okay. I think when people hear amphibian, like the first thing that comes to mind is a frog or snake. Well, snake is a reptile, right?
I think so, yeah. Or they think about reptilians, and most
Yeah.
reptilians are warm blooded or cold blooded. There was no reptilians in the top half. It's too hot. And a reptile would be the opposite of them because there was no negativity and stuff in the top half. They wasn't evil in that. They wasn't no negative thoughts and stuff. So, but they reptilians do descend from once evolution started changing things and bringing. Remember all these creatures that the pygmy gods were being in the form of rest and relaxation. Their real form, animal forms, you know, came out of them when they passed. They went down into the subduction zone and became crushed. and change over many years, and then they will come back as those particular creatures that they used to manifest for fun purposes.
Uh-huh.
And the Zupu took over and made them creepy crawly and made us be under the spell of just having phobias of bugs and snakes and being scared of water. It's just all types of stuff. The Zoot did that make you just scared of everything. Just you look at something and just you get creeped out by it and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm arachnophobic.
Say it again.
I'm arachnophobic.
Yeah, I don't like them things either.
Yeah. I stay far away from spiders.
And there's so many of them on the planet, so many different kinds.
Creepy crawlies.
Yeah, they the colors and stuff very interesting.
Yeah, man. It's 1:30. Yeah, I gotta get me some sleep. Gotta be up early in the morning.
What you said?
So I gotta get me some sleep. Gotta be up in the morning.
Yeah, me too. I gotta make some moves. The amphibian thing, they're evolving from water and the process of humans growing in water. Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's similarities. Yeah, I ain't saying it's not. It's just, we talking about millions of years. We don't look the same way we did millions of years ago.
True.
But they just keep trying to hide that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, our tongues used to be boy systems. Now they don't really got no use. But that's all we got for now. We can close out.
Yeah. I
And
get me some sleep.
I want to thank you once again for allowing me to come through. I want to thank everybody for sticking it out with us. And I hope y'all learned something. And hopefully we can get across some more topics. When you get
Definitely.
a chance, check out that oh, thank you, Quinn. Check out that
Appreciate
movie
it.
Halle Berry got called it'll come out next year, February. It's called Moonfall. It's like 2 trailers. Check it out.
You talking about this new movie that she just dropped?
It's called Moonfall.
I think I just seen that. I'll re-look it up. I think I just seen the first one. I just saw a Halle Berry trailer.
I think
check it out.
It's all good. All right, y'all. I'm out.
All right, true peace.
True peace.
All right, family. Hope you guys learned something tonight, because I sure did. Shout out to everybody that was in the chat. Special shout out to Saida for sticking with us, rocking with us tonight. I will be back tomorrow afternoon with some more School Not Being Chronicles. Just keeps getting better and better. So hopefully I see everybody the way I did earlier today. There's a lot of people in the chat. Hope all the questions that were asked the other day were answered. If not, we'll come back and do it again. That's all the time I got. See you later, Saida. That's all the time I got. It's your boy Remy on my aunt. You were just tuned into my aunt TV. I'll see you when I see you. Until then, peace.